Hi Divas, welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about literally whatever I want to, but mostly books. I am so excited about today's video because I've seen this on YouTube a couple of times and I always find it so entertaining and so interesting, and I've always wanted to participate in it. And that is trying to guess your favorite blank based on negative reviews. I've seen it with books, I've seen it with movies, I've seen it with a couple of different things, but I always find it so fascinating. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be trying to guess my favorite books based off of their negative Goodreads reviews. So I'm very excited. I got a couple of my friends to pull together some books and reviews, so I'm going into this completely blind and I'm so excited. So everybody say thank you to the Divas with me real quick. 1, 2, 3. Thank you to the Divas. Mwah. I love you guys. And basically, I told them to look at like my highest rated books, so like 4 to 5 stars, and then just go to Goodreads and find negative reviews of them and put them together. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm low-key going to be really good at this. I do consider myself to be a very opinionated and passionate person about my opinions, but I also like to consider myself to be critical and analytical. So I like to think that even if I really, really love something and I'm absolutely obsessed with it, I can see critiques against it and understand it, just not agree with it particularly. So I'm very interested to see what negative things people will have to say, because I might agree with it, but it might just like not matter. There might just be incredible parts of the book, so I look over it. Maybe it's a critique that I didn't notice or know about until after I had finished the book. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many possibilities, so I hope that I'm good at this, but I mean, we'll fucking see. So, I mean, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm comfy, I'm cozy, I have my laptop pulled up. Let's do this thing. Okay, the first review reads, "Probably one of the most aggravatingly stupid books I've read. Highly lauded by feminists, but don't be fooled. This is a very narrow-minded story, focusing on a privileged white girl with silly problems. I haven't got any patience for books like this. I'll say that I've read a bit about author's life, and she sounds like a bitch of the lowest order. Oh my god. Often called the female equivalent of the Catcher in the Rye. Don't make me laugh. Catcher is miles better than this piece of racist shit." Okay. Automatically, I'm thinking this is the bell jar. Because the bell jar is famously, yeah, a racist piece of shit. And I also know that the bell jar is regarded as like a feminist book, but I always get confused with that description because it really is not. The next review is, "I only had to read it once. I never read it for or with pleasure. I prefer childbirth." Word. The next one is, "I am genuinely shocked and confused to why this book is averaging 4 stars. I went into this book knowing that this book is very loved, and so is the author, but I had no clue how problematic and blatantly racist this book would be. I assumed this would be a feminist book, but this book is shitting on Asian women and black people. For example, I looked as ugly as a Chinaman, smudgy-eyed Chinese woman staring idiotically into my face. The N-word, kept grinning and chuckling in a silly way. This book is quite literally the definition of selective white feminism. Oh, and let's not forget the 10 paragraphs yapping about how she despises gay people. If you like this book, please do not talk to me. This is the bell jar, 100%. I hated almost everything about this book. There are 2 good quotes, but so much racism, fat phobia. Yeah. And I apparently DNF'd it before the homophobia started. I don't get the hype at all. It made it to my worst books of 2024. This is 100% the bell jar, and I do understand all of these people 100%. The bell jar is wildly offensive. It is so crazy. It also is like not a feminist piece of literature whatsoever, especially because of that racism. Like, it really is white feminism, and even then I don't think it's that. So I mean, I do like the bell jar. I think it's well written. It had a really compelling story to me. I did enjoy it, but yeah, it is extremely racist and homophobic and fatphobic, and it's just absolutely fucking crazy. Yeah, it's the bell jar. Apparently I rated it 4.5 stars. For me right now, I would probably give it like a 3.75. That's crazy that I gave it 4.5 when I read it. Okay, the first review is A Sexist Man, A Capitalist Society, a book that is by no means gripping. While the book pointed out issues, it didn't add to the conversation. It stated society's expectations. This wasn't a funny read like some said, just irritating and bland. I've got to quit picking up random books at thrift stores. The next review is I just love when a woman thinks about killing her baby nephew and has a sexual harasser incel as a roommate slash pretend partner. Ooh, okay. Think I think I know what this is. The main character is Dexter Morgan minus the murder, which is unfortunate because that would have made it a lot more enjoyable. I'm going to be so honest, I have no idea who Dexter Morgan is, so that is extremely unhelpful. This is a 2-star review and it says delightfully weird and oddly disturbing. This book makes a really interesting argument about what it means to fit in by exploring the life of someone who decidedly doesn't conform to societal and cultural norms. I'll be honest, I kept waiting for more to happen, but author kept the story just on the edge of uncomfortable. It was an intriguing choice, and I think it works in interesting ways to make the book's point, but I finished the book feeling like there was an itch that hadn't been fully scratched. I genuinely have no idea. I have no idea. Everything so far is giving Sayaka Murata to me, but I know Sayaka Murata really well, and none of these reviews fit in with any of her books to me so far. This next review is also 2 stars, and it says, this was the first translated work I've ever read where I could tell it was translated. I got tripped up on a lot of the semantics, which really took me out of the story. Was there even a story to be taken out of, though? I really liked main character and the overall message of how we don't allow people like her to simply exist in peace. I just wish I could have plucked her up and plopped her into another book. This was a huge miss for me, I'm afraid. Okay, I think this is Convenience Store Woman. Yes, this is 100% Convenience Store Woman. Things are clicking into place for me. Okay, I get it, I get it. A sexist man, a capitalist society. Understandable. I just love when a woman thinks about killing her baby nephew and has a sexual harasser incel as a roommate slash pretend partner. That first part is a very small part of the book. I actually do agree with the 1-star review that said that murder would have made this book a lot more enjoyable, because the first time that I read this, I was waiting for the main character to just go off and kill somebody, and I was really upset that she didn't. It is definitely a slow book, so was there even a story to be taken out of made sense. Liking the overall message of, social expectations and conformity. Yeah, all of that fits with Convenience Store Women. I'm pretty confident about this. All right, it was indeed Convenience Store Women. Yup, yup. All right, the next book reads R.I.P. Freud, you would have loved this. That gives me literally no information. This book seemed like it was trying to sensationalize itself. It's extremely triggering for those with issues with body image, food, eating disorders, and or fraught relationships with their parent, especially mother-daughter relationships. With writing about topics such as these, there should be at least a point, a theme, something. However, it was just pointless and going on and on about nothing. I'm all about satire, but this isn't it, due to its lack of awareness and substance. The next review is unnecessarily honest, made me feel deeply uncomfortable with my body. The writing was good though. The next review is 2 stars, very raunchy, so many mommy issues, Freud would have eaten this up. Okay, this is giving milk fed. Milk Fed is a book that is written very harshly, if that makes sense. The prose and the way of thinking is just extremely obsessive. It's really difficult to read, and it really does get under your skin. Melissa Broder does such an incredible job at transferring the emotion that her characters are feeling, the intense and overwhelming emotion that these characters are feeling, and directly giving you that same emotion through her writing. It's absolutely incredible, but at points, extremely uncomfortable. That is what I really enjoy about it. I find that writing style to be so crazy and effective, and I don't mind when a book gets under my skin, but I totally understand, you know, if that does affect people. This review says this book is a genuine health hazard. I mean, it low-key is. I can't even lie. This book really disappointed me. It's been on my TBR for quite some time. I had high expectations for it. I never DNF books, but I very nearly DNF'd this one. About 200 pages in, it just didn't work for me. My main issue with this book is that honestly, it grossed me out. I didn't realize it would be so explicit, which is on me. But if you're going to write something explicit, at least make it enjoyable to imagine. This was not. I don't like that. Ew, something else, something else. I don't particularly think that our sex scenes always need to be particularly comfortable to read. I also, hot take, don't really think that Milk Fed is extremely explicit. Don't get me wrong, like, it is a lot, definitely, but I think it gets hyped up to be a little bit more explicit than it actually is because it's a queer relationship. So I think that this is 100% Milk Fed. I agree with some people, disagree with other people. Yup, I'm a genius. Yep, it was indeed Milk Fed, which I did give 5 stars. I fucking love Milk Fed. It's absolutely incredible. It's my favorite Melissa Broder book. This year, I went on a journey with my OCD, and when I read this, I had never seen OCD represented so well in any media that I had ever consumed. This book is just really important to me. I love it. I would love to reread it. It's so incredible. All right, next book. Author, I'm so sorry, but even the gayness couldn't save this book. Character's immune system folding up at slight inconveniences. This has to be the most tedious thing I have ever read in my life. None of these are giving me anything. Ugh, I hate this book, and I've been forced by high school to read it twice, and college to read it once. Yeah, it's well written. Yeah, it's a classic. Blah, blah, blah. Is this Frankenstein? I had this professor in college who assigned to this book, so I thought I'd read it for the third time because maybe that time characters whining wouldn't kill me. The professor was kind of an abomination in a lot of ways, but not the worst professor ever. Okay, what does this have to do with this book? Anyways, I'll never forget going to class for the lecture on the book. The professor was lecturing in this caught you with your hand in the cookie jar voice that said, character was very, very bad. So that's when I knew from college about the structure and influence of the novel. Everything else I learned on Goodreads. This has to be Frankenstein. Yeah, this 3-star review ends with kudos to the author for writing such a great piece of literature at such a young age. This is 100% Frankenstein. I disagree with all of these reviews, but love and light to everybody who hates Frankenstein. I want you to know that you're wrong, but just let that be a reflection of your character, and we can move on. I will be very, very shocked if this isn't Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein. I'm so good at this. All right, book number 5, and the first review says, I feel the need to bleach my brain, which automatically makes me think it's Sayaka Murata. I wish there was an indication in the blurb about just how vicious the abuse, both sexual and psychological, of the primary school/teenager is. I read on because I felt like I needed to know she was going to be okay when I know better. Why did I not DNF? I don't even know that myself. This is 100% Earthlings. My eyes, what in heaven's name did I just read? This book certainly wasn't written by the author, blank, who wrote the entertaining book, blank, right? Right? Wrong. This colossal piece of garbage was written by the same author. What a waste of my reading time and the money I spent on actually buying the book because I thought, hey, a new book from the same author who wrote blank. Cool. No way. I felt that author of the book, even though it's the same author, was written by a deranged deviant. This is 100% Earthlings. I feel like I don't even need to read the rest of the reviews. Yeah, Earthlings is a lot, and I feel like hopefully every single time that I recommend Earthlings, I do make it clear that it is a very intense book with a lot of trigger warnings and a lot of extremely dark themes because I feel like that's really important to know going into it. I recommended that my mom read Convenience Store Women. I would never recommend her to read Earthlings. Never in a million years. That's what I like in my books. I like books that push the boundaries. I like books that make me react and make me think. That sounded so pretentious. I need to calm down a little bit. But I mean, it's, It's not for everybody. Let me just say that. You'll need to go to therapy. This book made me so uncomfortable. I'm a lover of whack books full of psychos. This, however, I did not enjoy. Yeah, this is Earthlings. Yeah, it's Earthlings. I wonder how many Sayaka Murata books are going to be in this video. I'm like really curious. All right, I'm feeling really good. I mean, so far I'm 5 for 5. Let's keep going. The first review was 1. I was forced to read this for English class. 2. I hated this book because I thought it was the dumbest, most unnecessary, most senile, most worthless piece of literature that I had ever read. This book is not worth anybody's time. This book could be better and I do not recommend it. It is a terrible read and makes no sense. It should be burned and forgotten. There's a 3-star review that says, contains the greatest oh fuck moment in medieval literature, which is making me think that this is Sir Gawain in The Green Knight. Okay, yeah. The last 1-star review says, this book was slightly interesting. The main character basically signs off for a suicide mission. This is Sir Gawain. He starts as a fairly weak character and makes countless mistakes that are not redeemed through the book. There are no strong female characters, which only takes away from possible interesting plot points. Overall, was a boring read and would not recommend to anyone. Yeah, this is 100% Sir Gawain in The Green Knight. I don't doubt that whatsoever. Everything about this says Sir Gawain, and I also know that the people who I asked to make this slideshow, we were in this English class where we had to read Sir Gawain together, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was in here. I mean, Sir Gawain was a fun book. I did like it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but like, I wouldn't recommend it particularly. Like, I did have to read it for school. And while it was enjoyable, you know, I wouldn't be like, guys, you need to read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Yeah, this is Sir Gawain. I'm a genius. All right, this next book, first review is, the title is very fitting as the story is never ending. Ooh, wait, is this I'm Thinking of Ending Things? Eee! Cringe, bad, annoying, overrated. This is Ready Player One, but for undergrad English majors. Well, reading this book is like trying to hang out with someone who keeps slamming you in the face with cold spaghetti noodles. You're like, stop, dear Lord, please be normal, but again and again, slap, slap, slap. This is a crazy fucking review. This person should be an author. For real, for real. They have such a way with words. At its core, it's baffling and uncomfortable. You want to leave, but you think this has to improve. Surely there is some point to this. So you just kind of resign yourself to the wet blow of pasta across your face. This is so fucking funny. Who chose this review? I kept hoping, wishing, trusting the hype around this book, but it doesn't get better. Wet noodles all the way down. I am obsessed with this. This book is so overwritten, so of course that had to happen. So trying too hard to be smart with a bunch of nostalgic pandering. It's like a young adult novel trying to describe an adult world. Work in adversity conveyed by someone with only an adolescent understanding of it. It's so cloying that I'm worried about diabetes. The conflict is so fake, I thought I was reading a Spanish soap opera. A lot of that feels borderline offensive to me. On top of that, this book is a candidate for worst sex scene ever. That's making me think less that it's I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I could still see it, but let me read some more reviews. A book that felt more and more like a punishment to read as it progressed. There was at least one description or piece of dialogue that annoyed me on every page. The characters are all annoying and unrealistic. All of the games sound terrible. They made this weird decision to create a promotional that is as irritating and poorly conceived as it is in the novel. The dialogue never sounds like how people actually speak, particularly for characters who are of a non-Caucasian background. There are too many ideas and none of them are interesting or dramatic. The constant narration and tell don't show approach is infuriating. I could go on. This was a hard pass for me. I know I'm in the minority, but I do not need to be emotionally and traumatically destroyed while reading. The prose was pretentious and unnecessary. Both characters are rather insufferable, immature, and showed no growth. For a book that's supposedly celebrating friendship, this was the definition of a toxic, unhealthy platonic relationship between male and female. I'm honestly not sure what the moral of the story was, other than let's make sure to include every single controversial issue possible and make our stance known. I also really despise murky endings. I really enjoyed the first half of this book. The second half seemed to drag on for too long with a predictable, to me, climax and conclusion. And shh, don't tell anyone, but I was kind of underwhelmed. Like, this is good, it's fine, but I just didn't connect with it on the level it seems most have. I think particularly the writing voice was slightly off to me, which may have been why I didn't end up loving it as much as other folks have. I am really confused by this because none of these reviews make sense with I'm thinking of ending things, and so I think I'm just really caught up on that specifically. Some of these reviews give a little bit boy parts to me, specifically emotionally and traumatically destroyed while reading. The prose was pretentious and unnecessary. I think particularly the writing voice was slightly off to me, which is why I didn't end up loving it as much as other folks had. But then, like, Ready Player One, but for undergrad English majors, and the title is very fitting as the story is never ending. That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, I'm like kind of considering cheating. Not really cheating, just like going back to my story graph to see what I've like given 4 to 5 stars to see if any of this lines up with that, but I don't want to cheat because that's not, that's cheating. I don't know. I it doesn't help that one of the reviews is literally about like noodles across your face and like not about the actual book. I'm genuinely stumped. I have no idea what this is. This is going to be the first one that I'm getting wrong, and that's so sad. Okay, it's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Interesting. Okay, let me go back at these reviews. Hold on. The title is very fitting as the story is never ending. Okay, that makes sense. Overrated, Ready Player One, but for undergrad English majors. Honestly, low key. And maybe that's why I ate that shit up because, yeah, I'm undergrad English major. I really want Gabrielle Zevin to know that the caliber of writing that her haters are at are you just kind of resign yourself to the wet blow of pasta across your face. I hope that she knows that. I don't know. I kind of don't really have any opinion on these. I think Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is one of those books that I do like and enjoy, but I'm not extremely passionate about it. I'm not going like arms up, guns a-blazing for Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I enjoy it. I liked it. It was just a good book to me. It wasn't a incredible book to me. I think that a lot of these reviews make sense. A lot of them I don't really agree with. But some of them I understand where people are coming from. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on these. And I'll honestly be so real. I think that even if I did check my story graph, I still wouldn't have gotten that. I'll be completely honest. Alright, the first one would have been a 3 out of 5 if not for the non-consensual stuff. Honestly breezed through it and was really interested and hoping to get a better overall resolution and some discussion around what actually happened and how. But then it got kind of weird in the last bit of the book, and also, frankly, it was a very anticlimactic ending. I love that this 1-star review starts with creative and funny. I love that. Creative and funny. I couldn't really enjoy it though and skimmed through a lot of the middle parts because it was too real/relevant to me. Gonna go back to reading things that are not set in our current unprecedented times. Alright, they also attached a 4-star review that reads, "This book was written for a very niche audience and I am happy to confirm I am them. If you had told me a week ago I'd be a fan of a corporate comedy novel, I wouldn't have believed you, but well, here we are. If you have worked in corporate and/or PR comms and/or/are have been a heavy software brand user, you should check this book out. I am usually a pretty bland-faced reader, but this book had me cackling." Okay, I think that this is several people are typing. A lot of this makes sense. All of the corporate comments, creative and funny, and also hoping to get a better overall resolution and discussion around what happened and how. That also was something that I was craving in several people are typing. Yeah, this is several people are typing, I think. Period. It was several people are typing. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I don't know. I don't really have a take on any of these. It's not a book for everybody, I guess. Some books, just people aren't going to really like it. It also doesn't seem like any of these one-star reviews are particularly like, I hated this book. They're mostly just like, it wasn't for me, which I think is completely fair. Again, not all books are going to be for everybody. And these are pretty respectful, so I don't really have any beef with these. Alright, next book. A unique concept for sure, but unfortunately this was a steady downhill slope for me. The 1 star was solidified by the entirely unnecessary ending. I'm actually repulsed. This is, again, giving Sayaka Murata to me. More of an idea than a fleshed out concept. Weird books shouldn't be allowed to be boring. The social commentary was too literal to be intriguing. I wish I could give this 0 stars. Worst book I have ever read. That ending was literally not needed. Yeah, this to me is giving Sayaka Murata for sure. It's giving Vanishing World.
It's giving green couch. No, it's a green couch. It's not giving anything.
I don't particularly remember the ending being particularly insane. So the people saying like the unnecessary ending, the ending was not needed, that confuses me a little bit, but I do think that this is Sayaka Murata for sure, and I don't think it's Life Ceremony, and so I think that it has to be Vanishing World. It's Vanishing World, indeed. Yep. A book that I gave 5 stars. I don't know. I don't really have a take about any of these. Again, I feel like I'm kind of being a little bit boring. I don't know. Vanishing World, I said it in my Sayaka Murata video. It definitely is her most alienating book. I think it's her weirdest. I think it's her strangest. And I feel like just with any Sayaka Murata book, I am going to understand if you don't enjoy it. But like, don't rain on my parade. You know, I'm not raining on your parade. So let me have my moment. Let me get my little Earthlings tattoo and be happy, okay? Oh my god. The first review that I see is, Mama, this was garbage. The next review is, where do I even start? This book was great structurally speaking for the type of story that is being told, but that's just about it on the positive things I have to say about it. It's probably the most disturbing, depraved, and obscene story I have ever read, and I have read a lot of weird books. But I think I had to find my limit, and this is it. I need therapy. Okay, this is giving the sluts to me, for sure. I think I'm just not into gory, gross stories like I used to be. This is 100% the sluts to me. This is another one of those books where, like, similarly to Sayaka Murata, I'm not going to, like, attack you if you disliked the sluts, because it is very dark, it is very disturbing. I think I hated reading that book. That was a very gross read. I'm just more okay with provocative literature, and I'm more okay with things getting under my skin for a temporary or permanent amount of time. I'm still fucked up by that book. Like, and that's okay. That's tea. I'm not going to, you know, clock your gag. So yeah, this is giving the sluts to me. Yep, 100%. I knew it. As I write, this book has a higher rating than Catcher in the Rye, a higher rating than The Color Purple. It's rated higher than, hold on to your hat, both The Great Gatsby and To Kill a Mockingbird. Yes, you read that correctly. Why? Someone tell me why right fucking now. This book is crap. This book is what would happen in the dark of night at the Barnes & Noble if this shittiest romance novel in the store brushed up against Elizabeth Taylor's autobiography. I'm assuming here she has one. That's so funny. And those two books somehow made a book baby. And that book baby was born on a stack of US Weekly magazines. And so some of that smut rubbed off on the horrible book baby. I recommend you read this awful thing only so you can give it the 1-star rating it deserves. Please join me in putting this awful book in its place. Interesting. I'm a little bit confused by the smut comment, just because all of the books that I can think of that I've read that have a little bit more heavy smut, I don't think I've rated more than 4 stars. I deeply disliked just about everything this book served up. The concept was interesting, but the execution was so ham-fisted and repetitive, I wanted to scream. One of the absolute worst examples of telling, not showing, that I have ever encountered. Characters are really caricatures. Yeah, okay, I get it now. I get what the fuss is about. It's that ending, isn't it? The ending was brilliant. The thing is, I nearly missed it completely because I was ready to throw the book down about a third of the way through. I have no idea what this book is. My thinking at first was the Rachel incident. I don't know why, just like pure vibes. But I don't think that the Rachel incident has a particularly incredible ending. At least not an ending that would make it be like, I get what the fuss is about ending. You know what I mean? Enjoyable turn your brain off at the door read, but throughout I couldn't help but feel I could just be reading an actual biography of some fated star, most of which are far more scandalous and revealing. Okay, 100% The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It does not surprise me that that book has a higher rating than Catcher in the Rye, The Color Purple, The Great Gatsby, To Kill a Mockingbird. I genuinely think that The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a modern classic. No matter how you feel about it, it is a modern classic. And so it doesn't surprise me that it has such a high rating, especially if that rating is like a little bit higher than some of these other books, because like it is a really incredible book, and it's a very crowd pleasing book. I feel like the ending was brilliant, makes a little bit more sense because I love that like last page. I don't like the plot twist that kind of happens like 3/4 of the way in the book. I think that that plot twist generally is really stupid, but like the very last line of the book, banger. Love it. Incredible. Characters are really caricatures. That makes sense, I guess. I would disagree. I would disagree, but I think that makes sense. The Elizabeth Taylor mention makes sense. The smut doesn't make a lot of sense because I don't really think there's a lot of smut in there. And like, even if there is, like, again, I just think that like you're being dramatic because it's like lesbians. Yeah, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I disagree with a lot of these. I feel like I do have a stronger opinion about these reviews than I have in previous reviews. Again, I want Taylor Jenkins Reid to know that the caliber of writing of her haters is that book baby was born on a stack of US Weekly magazines, and so some of that smut rubbed off on that horrible book baby. Yeah, I don't know. Again, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo isn't particularly a book that I'm like guns a-blazing to defend, but I do disagree with a lot of these reviews, which like makes sense. I love that book. I gave it, what, 4.75 stars? I don't get it. I've decided to abandon this book 70% in. I just cannot with this experimental, fragmented, disjointed, non-linear, heavily footnoted, second person, often incoherent style of writing. Oh my gosh, the first sentence of the next review automatically gives it away of what this book is. You had really high expectations for this one. You've been looking forward to reading this book for a while now. You were completely taken aback by the mess that is the writing style. You thought it was just a matter of a few chapters and it'd be better. You were wrong. You are confused as to why this book, a freaking memoir, is written in second person. You DNF this book at 10%. You are now thinking of Chicken Ranch Pizza. That is actually sick and fucking twisted to DNF. Okay, this is In the Dream House. That is absolutely insane to DNF this book at 10%. This is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I automatically know. If you DNF that book at 10%, I don't think that you have the ability to give it a 1 star and write such a scathing review for it. You know what I mean? 70% in makes a little bit more sense, but 10%? Diva, like, come on. If I DNF a book, like, within the first 10%, I usually don't even log it on Storygraph as a DNF. And even when I do give something a DNF, I never really give it a star rating. I don't even think I gave Slay a star rating when I DNF'd it. This next 3-star review says, I appreciate the author for bringing forward such a powerful message and life story. However, I found myself confused at times as some chapters felt randomly placed or pulled from other sources. I don't think this always helped promote her personal story. Rather, I felt it sometimes disconnected from her own narrative. That said, I understand she may have taken many breaks while writing, given how difficult it must be to convey such a personal matter. I feel like that's kind of a crazy assumption to make. I don't like that. Due to the complexity of this story, I did have some trouble following along. I would say the writing style was a bit too advanced for me. Honestly, I'm just happy that they admitted that, like, they're stupid. Because that's kind of like what I think. I think that these people are stupid. I feel like I haven't been mean enough in this video. All of these people are stupid, and they didn't get it. And you know what? I'm happy that a lot of them just admitted that they didn't get it. Love and light. That's all I have to say to you. Yeah. In the Dream House, Carmen Maria Machado. This is 100% a 5-star read for me. It's such a powerful story. It's unlike anything that I've ever read before. It's absolutely insane. It's incredible. I love the second person. I love the non-linear. I love everything about it. Yeah. I love that it's experimental, fragmented, disjointed, non-linear, heavily footnoted, second person, often incoherent. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. And that's what makes the emotions hit so hard because it is a little bit uncomfortable. So I think that all of those 1-star reviews were stupid. I waited, and waited to like this, for something to snap. She's a modern Patrick Bateman. Okay, that's fine. Now what? There's a progression in a way, but then it just ends. There's nothing. There's no point. She's just an incredibly toxic narcissist who isn't even interesting. I spent 200 pages in the head of someone I loathed, and I don't feel, personally, like I got anything out of the experience. This is immediately giving boy parts to me.
No, it's a green couch. It's not giving anything.
From an author whose entire online presence is built on wokeness. I found this book through her Guardian interview and then her Twitter. There's some problematic shit in here. Rampant fat phobia, Japanese and Korean women are practically the same thing, use of lame, etc. DNF 24%. If you want to read a book that tries so hard to be artsy, indie, to the point it ends up taking on an obnoxious and snobbish tone. No, I'm not talking about the unlikable main character. It's the way this book thinks it's superior to the reader that irks me. Is about someone constantly undermining everyone around her in a pathetic and stale way and going around stoned and drunk 24/7. Be prepared to know about every single drug she snorts or shot she takes. I love the use of the parentheses here. Girl, keep giving us that. I love it. Casually drops serious, gratuitous content for 2 paragraphs only, expecting you to take it as something that is darkly entertaining. Is dense for no reason at all and takes forever to get to what this synopsis promises. Then this is for you. Me, I'm out. I know that this is boy parts. This is 100% boy parts. I also disagree with all of these. I want to give it like the Sayaka Murata treatment a little bit. But I feel like these reviews are a little bit more harsh and like a little bit more they didn't get the point of it. The last 1-star review is will make most readers howl with laughter, the Guardian said, and howl with laughter I did not. I also wouldn't say I howled with laughter. I don't particularly think of boy parts as a comedy. So I'll give them that. But yeah, everything about this gives boy parts. And I don't particularly agree with it, but I think that I'm right. I'm like eating this shit up. The first 2 reviews I see are both 5 stars, and it says, I wrote this book and it's a banger. And then the next one is, I read this book, it's a banger. That gives me nothing, but I kind of love it. I decided to read this book because it takes place in Ireland. This is the Rachel incident. This is 100% the Rachel incident. Yeah, I don't even have a doubt in my mind. I don't know, something about Caroline O'Donoghue going on Goodreads and saying, I wrote this book, it's a banger, that just makes sense to me. But to use some Irish slang, this book was absolutely shite. That's so stupid. I only kept reading because I wanted to see how in the world it could have been rated so high. I'm still not sure, and to be able to tear it apart. The plot was horrid and boring, the characters were unlikable, and it was overall just a trash book. Do not read. Fuck whoever wrote this review. This is where I'm getting me. The Rachel incident, I do not play about the fucking Rachel incident, okay? Fuck whoever wrote this review. Okay, sorry, hold on. Let me compile myself a little bit. I think this was a case of wrong book, wrong person. I'm okay with that. That diva, work. There are so many rave reviews, this one was just a miss for me. The writing seemed chaotic. I didn't particularly love the main character. I wanted to DNF this one so many times. Thank you to NetGalley for the opportunity to read this one early. It just wasn't my taste. I'm okay with that diva. I won't curse that diva out. She doesn't deserve it. I did not like this book. Haven't read a book I disliked so much in a while. I wanted to DNF, but just couldn't. I absolutely hated Blank. What a terrible, annoying character. Oh well, moving on. A dull, sad novel about dull, sad people, somewhat mystified by all the rave reviews. Is this what passes as great literature this day? Okay. I'm thinking that this is either the Rachel incident or Intermezzo, and I can't quite tell which. It could also be Conversations with Friends, but I don't know. I think that the I wrote this book and it's a banger is giving more Caroline O'Donoghue to me than it is giving Sally Rooney to me.
It's not giving anything.
And one of the 3-star reviews is laugh out loud funny at times, and I really liked the ending, but I will literally never think about it again. And I would say that the Rachel incident is more laugh out loud funny than like Conversations with Friends is. I'm thinking this is the Rachel incident, and if it is, um, hmm. I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm not gonna say it at all. Okay, yeah, this is the Rachel incident. Yeah, I obviously disagree with all of those. The Rachel incident, listen, I do have like some issues with it, but the thing is like all of my issues are very minor, and so like comparatively to like how much that book means to me, I don't really care about those minor issues, you know? I totally understand wrong book, wrong person. Again, not every single book is for every single person, and I totally understand that. But I also wouldn't call this a dull, sad novel about dull, sad people. I would say that's intermezzo. Okay, I believe that this is the last book, and the first review is this book is an insult to women and young girls everywhere. Amazing how people can read this pop schlock and think it's something masterful. The love triangle is pathetic and cringeworthy, the heroine cliched and tired. The popularity of this series of books speaks to the chasm of intellectual absence in American society. Ooh, this is interesting. I was thinking maybe Daisy Jones and the Six, but that's not a series. If protagonist was able to become a symbol of rebellion while being so dumb, I guess there's a chance for us mortals after all. This makes absolutely no sense. I'm gonna be really sad if I get stumped on the last one, because I have no idea what this is. They also included a couple of 5-star reviews, but none of those give me any other information because it says, best book ever written, convinced me otherwise. Author opened a document and thought to herself, I want to make history, and that's what this is. Okay, this is giving the Hunger Games to me, specifically because of like the kind of letterboxed style reviews of like the 5-star reviews. Specifically because the popularity of this series, because I don't really read series, and I think that The Hunger Games is the only series that I would have read and rated at 4+ stars. If protagonist was able to become a symbol of rebellion while being so dumb, I guess there's a chance for us mortals after all. Confuses me a little bit, but you know, I was thinking like mortals makes more sense with something more mythological, not particularly dystopian. I don't know if this is The Hunger Games or Catching Fire. Also, the popularity of books speaks to the chasm of intellectual absence in American society. I want to point out that like The Hunger Games is a YA series. Like, not to discredit the book's intelligence by calling it a YA series, but it's not particularly like The Hunger Games are being taught in colleges, right? Who knows? Maybe they are, but I feel like this is an incredibly advanced and intellectual YA series, and I don't really think that it's fair to call it, you know, the chasm of intellectual absence in American society. I'm gonna guess that this is Catching Fire. The reason that I say that is because I feel like the reviews being like best book ever written, I want to make history, this is not a cliffhanger, all of that leads me more towards Catching Fire. And also, I feel like in the Hunger Games, she wasn't as much of a symbol as rebellion as she was going to be in Catching Fire. So I'm gonna guess Catching Fire. It. Oh, thank you. Thank you. If I guessed Catching Fire and it was the Hunger Games, I was literally going to like end everything right then and there. But I'm so proud of myself. That, I ate that. Honestly, 14 out of 15 books is not bad fucking ever. I am like I'm proud of myself for that. Like, I ate that up. Anyways, I think that the moral of the story here is that I am an absolute genius and I am incredible. I'm so smart. I'm like the wisest person ever. And I heard a rumor going around that if you were to like, comment, and subscribe, that you would also be really cool, really smart, super hot, super sexy. I've heard that all of my subscribers so far are really cool, hot, and sexy. So, I mean, if you want to join that club, you should. But, like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that, like, this is where the cool people are. But yeah, I hope that you guys are having an incredible holiday season. I'm hoping to get this uploaded before Christmas, low key. We'll see if that happens, but hopefully over this break I'm really able to like get back onto my reading grind. I feel like I read so much in the beginning of the year and then I just like completely drop off at the end of the year. So like I have been in kind of a reading slump, but I'm really hoping that like shit picks up for me soon. But anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye, divas. Mwah.